Well, first, we always have to honor those who have gone before us. Most importantly, the men and women, not only who gave their lives, but also who wore the uniform. So every time we have an event like this, we're telling their story, we're remembering them, and we're keeping that memory alive. And that's a solemn obligation that we, as those who wear the uniform now, will always remember and always do. Not only for those individuals, but also their families, and then hopefully to inspire future generations, right? Because we will be judged on how we treat those who have gone before us. So we are, and then for me, when you hear the stories and when you learn the stories and the resilience and the never quit attitude of the greatest generation in World War II, it inspires you to want to be better. It inspires you to want to train harder so that make sure that we who wear the patch now can honor the sacrifices of those that went before us.
War is so much different now than it was then. And as a soldier who was deployed in a relatively new era, when you hear the stories of what that generation went through as opposed to what today's soldier goes through, how...
So we like to say maybe the equipment has changed, but the nature and the fight hasn't. And it will always be men and women standing up against those who would, we fight on the behalf of liberty and freedom. The resilience, those stories inspire us because, well, they didn't have all the technology, all the equipment. They didn't have, the Nomex and all those things. And anyone that's been deployed or fought in very harsh conditions understand on how that drains the body. So it just inspires us even more about the resilience of that generation. Outgunned, outnumbered, undersupplied, in the coldest times, the equipment not working, yet they didn't quit and they held the line.
Last question I have is, just being a member of the Pennsylvania National Guard, the head of the Pennsylvania National Guard, how proud are you today that the 28th ID is being recognized for their contribution?
I'm proud of every man and woman that wears that uniform, and today we celebrate the oldest continuously serving division in the Army, and there's a lot of pride. That keystone matters, and as you heard from the veterans and the family members who have gone over to Europe and who have gone through the same terrain that 28th ID soldiers walked, those young kids in Europe today know and honor and respect the 28th ID. So yeah, we're really proud of not only our division, but also our Commonwealth and country.
Well, as a veteran, I've always been interested in the Battle of the Bulge and how important of a battle that was. It was the largest land battle in World War II, the most casualties, and it was one of the most crucial battles, if not the most crucial battle in World War II. Without a successful outcome for the Allies, the war would have gone at least a lot more longer and a lot more pain and suffering. So I was approached by a great guy who's here, Dan Occo, who works with us in Harrisburg in the caucus, and he's a history buff like myself. And he gave me the book Alamo and the Ardennes by the author McManus, and it's a fantastic book. And we talked about it, knocked around a little bit, saying, the 80th anniversary is coming up. And, to do something to commemorate specifically what Pennsylvania troops have contributed, and even more specifically, the 28th Infantry Division, which is, in my opinion and many other historians, a real untold story of heroism and bravery that went on. We often hear about the 101st, which is a fantastic story, but we don't hear enough about our very own 28th Infantry Division. So we put together a House Resolution 275 that passed the House, I believe unanimously, and part of it in the commemoration was to build a website, an interactive website with histories and maps showing the battle so we could commemorate it. And that's why I have these two fine young gentlemen here. We have Sam and we have Cannon, and both of them have been working extremely hard at the Westchester Geography Department, building this interactive map, talking with families of the World War II veterans, gathering histories from different historians. The Battle of the Bulge Association has been a fantastic ally in this, so we're very happy, and we're just trying to do what's right in memory to these veterans, this greatest generation of Pennsylvanians who helped with us in the war.
Just one more question. Put it all in a great nutshell for me. Do you feel keep telling the story, keep getting youth interested.
It's extremely important, and to your point, we're losing more and more veterans every day. Some of them that would have liked to have come today were unable to come. And when they pass on, a lot of their stories may pass on with them, and that's what we're trying to stop. We're trying to remind people of the importance of this battle on this day that happened 80 years ago this very day, and for future generations to understand our own history and how crucial this battle was. And these traditions live on in the 28th Infantry. Sam, for example, is a member of the 28th Infantry and the ROTC program. And Cannon, who's put so much time forward on this, loves history and putting his work into this, makes me feel like future generations won't forget. And we'll have something left that we can teach generations beyond.
Infantry. It's amazing to see that the gratitude, the appreciation, and the memory that still exists. In fact, as you know, if you've been there, almost every little town, an officer at the time. Another one at another town we went to was Colonel Daniel Strickler, and appreciation for his presence there. And for us, the 80th anniversary, and the individuals, all the American soldiers and non-soldiers who were involved in it one way or the other. And I think also we were particularly encouraged later to hear about the Westchester University project that will. So with that, I'll give a little bit of background on the Battle of the Bulge. One of the things that my learned colleague Leon Reed wanted important activities that were going up in the north part with the German 6th Panzer Army that was pressing against St. Vith and other places trying to get across the Mosel to get skins over it. And what it does is, Leon in particular highlighted this, 101st Airborne, not to diminish their contribution in any way, but put it in proper perspective. They didn't really get Bastogne, 30 miles away from Bastogne when they started the battle. By the first day, they were fighting against the forward deployed forces of the 110th Infantry and other units for the veterans who were there. And I really think of it in the context of the long history of the 28th Division. Its distinguished history from even before.
Publish and present materials about the Battle of the Bulge and the special heroism displayed by the Pennsylvania soldiers, airmen, and military units.
As I think it was Jesse Jackson said, keep hope alive, keep the memories, and don't forget the sacrifices we gave up so that you today have the freedom.
Battle of the Bulge began 80 years ago today, this memorial.
speed, to gain speed and momentum, the divisions of the Reich would need to strike hard and fast, and they would have to.
Would you pray with me? Almighty God, as we gather here this morning among friends, family, brothers and sisters in arms, we first do this battle only because of the part they played within the fight. What those brave and determined soldiers gave what those brave and determined soldiers gave for Europe's freedom and the repudiation of the German army goes far beyond service of their country. Our God, you prepared them to become heroes to the world.
In the southern part of that, all putting up as much resistance as they could against overwhelming odds, even outmatched in terms of the capabilities. Sherman tank is a wonderful tank, but given the German tanks at that, when we look at the 28th Division, I really think of it more broadly now that I've learned more about my father's time and experience. He grew up in Washington, PA. He joined the 28th Division, 110th Infantry.
And then the mouthpiece, the transmitter on the inside of the mouthpiece is missing. So now, okay, what do I use it for? So looking at, who knows? And then I'm finding different headsets that are laying around that belong to different things and trying to put them together, make them match.
What's up, Mike?
Hey Tom,
How you doing?
good, how are you?
Just living a good life.
And they called me, like, asking for directions.
Is that right?
So I sent them some map pins, Google map pins.
Bad set.
Probably, I should have looked at the exact time, but it probably was like between 10:30 and 11. And they were kind of in the car. I don't know if they were driving or just getting in the car or whatever.
It smells rock.
Anybody seen General Weichschneider?
Yes. He's outside the outside.
Oh, out.
Yeah. Yes, him and another person.
I was always used to Kiwi, so.
Yeah, that's what I prefer, Kiwi. And this was my dad's.
What was your dad's?
This one here.
Ah, okay.
You see, it's dismounted. They came two different ways mounted.
Was he from your division, your dad?
Yeah, he was in the 108th Field Artillery.
108?
Yeah. Yeah, here's his, I have a,
Just make sure
Yeah.
you look at it before you put it out.
Those are always nice. I have somewhere a set of cards, deck of cards from the Navy.
okay.
One with the old stuff.
Oh, that's neat.
And I gotta find it. I don't know where it's at.
Charlie gave me these.
Oh yeah, I got a couple of those.
Yeah, they're cool. And you look at them, the base really didn't change that
No, it
much.
has. And
I just picked these up. So my wife was at a flea market, and this lady had these, and she was selling them for $6 a piece. I'm like, I don't care.
yeah. I got one at home. It's my wife's uncle, great uncle. He was in the Marine Corps, and he's got a leather neck. There's a leather neck magazine.
Yeah.
From the Pacific.
Okay.
It was a movie, but and the guy was always one step behind Moses, one step behind and to the right of Moses. So he always thought God was talking to him instead of Moses.